Everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Just a Leeds Thing, and of course it feels so strange, doesn't it, knowing that there's no transfers. The transfer window is completely closed now. The loan market's open for a couple of weeks. A couple of obviously free agents and Saudi Arabia, and these are the ones who are the ones that obviously we don't really need to really focus on too much. But the English one is now closed. The Saudi Arabia League closes on the 7th of September, I do believe. So Costa has been linked to Saudi Arabia. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about Daniel Farke and Rutter, the FFP rules with Erasmus Kristensen, player injuries and obviously returns. 49 is ready to move on Costa, and as well Mark Roca's comments on Leeds United and I guess the Real Betis move. So before we do get to today's video, make sure you like the video. We're getting very close now to 2,000 subscribers, and once we do reach that 2,000 subscribers, there will be 2 lucky winners for a giveaway to be able to win a lovely, a lovely Leeds United home shirt or away shirt or goalkeeper shirt or whatever. So once we do reach that 2,000 subscriber mark, you guys will be entered in the giveaway. So all you've got to do is like the video. The more likes we do get on the video, the more opportunity you will be entered into the giveaway. So let's get into today's video. Let's start off with Erasmus Kristensen, and he's having some issues, isn't he, at Roma? And we all know that he's having a lot of issues at Leeds United. A lot of Leeds United fans are just not willing to accept him back. He's not willing to even play for Leeds United anymore. And I think with the likes of Vober and Roca and Kristensen and Koch, all these players who have gone out on loan, I think they know full well that this is the end for him. But Erasmus Kristensen at Roma having a lot of problems because apparently there is some sort of FFP rule that kind of like rules him out of the European football with Roma. And of course he went there in July hoping to be able to play football in the European leagues, but Jose Mourinho's left him out of the squad because apparently there's some sort of like surplus, like he obviously is like a surplus for Roma because they're bringing in around about like 7 players and they could only choose like five of those players, and to me it seems like it hasn't really worked out for him at Roma. And of course there's this like whole complication with the FFP rules and everything like that, so it's looking more and more likely that he's not going to be featuring much of the game time in European football. And as well, it's very uncertain that Roma have a back out clause or get out clause for Erasmus Kristensen. If that's the case, he looks like he could be coming back to Leeds United. Of course, he's still featuring for Roma. Of course, there isn't an imminent return for the player, and I don't really think the player would want to, and I don't really think the fans would like to accept him back. So I made a video actually regarding Rutter and Patrick Bamford, didn't I, the other day? And it's always been a channel where everyone can have their own opinions. You can disagree with me, it's completely fine. And I made a video regarding Bamford. I made a video on the situation with Rutter, and I personally stand by what I say about him. I don't really think he's going to be, in a sense, especially if he's playing like this, I don't think he's going to be in Leeds United's plans for the long term. Of course, there is news that Patrick Bamford could be leaving in January, but we'll have to keep that one with a pinch of salt and see which way that one goes. But Daniel Farke has actually come out and said that he's actually spoken to him after the game. That's Rutter. And it's pretty much come out, and if you read in between the lines, he's pretty much saying that his confidence is at an all-time low. He will be able to build that confidence back in Rutter, and he needs to stop overthinking things, especially when he was one-on-one with the goalkeeper against Sheffield Wednesday. I thought that was absolutely poor, and yes, he showed quality against Ipswich, but we can't have a £35 million striker or a winger who played 2 good games in, like, let's say 20 games. You know, we've got, especially with the caliber of player he actually is and has proven to be in those 2 games, we need a more of a consistent basis. So for me, I think with Millwall, I think he does need to be dropped. I think we need to go with a different type of system with Perot maybe as the number 9. But as Daniel Farke says, he has the ability to play at a high level in this, or play with the ability to play at top of his game in the Championship. And I do believe that. I have trust in Daniel Farke, and I think he'll be able to get the trust back in Rutter. But for long term, if he doesn't seem to improve, then I think Leeds United shouldn't, in a sense, move Rutter on and keep Bamford at the club. For other loanees, we all know that Marc Roca has gone out and he's actually playing really well at Real Betis. And this one to me is a little bit of a strange one, because apparently, according to the director of Real Betis, he was trying to call every single day to get this deal done and get these agents to be able to push the move to Real Betis and back to Spain. And according to Plains, he was desperate to join, and I guess he wanted to return back to Spain, because obviously we all know that he's Spanish, and there was obviously the whole situation with Samuel Saiz a few years ago where he did come over, but he was homesick. So I'm not going to sit here and give any like excuses for Marc Roca and how the clauses in his contract had worked out. But if he didn't really like the way the Premier League was, and it was too hard for him, or the intensity was too hard for him, then I can't blame him for wanting to return back to the club. But at the same time, with how these contracts have been dealt with, I don't really want him to be at the club anymore, especially with like the likes of Kristensen, Brendan Aronson, Robin Koch, Vogel, all these types of players. Like, these are the ones who we're going to get a lot of money for in the future, because we'll have a huge sale. 7 or 8 players will go out and we can accumulate 100 to 150 million pounds back into the squad, which is going to be really good for Leeds United's long-term financial future. So with Marc Roca, he's playing really well, and there's reports that he's enjoying his football. He's been ranked one of the best midfielders in this division with his expansive type of football. And this is the only issue with coming over to England and playing under a manager like Jesse Marsh, who played so narrow, where he couldn't be, in a sense, used. Strengths were to, in a sense, pass through the back line, expansive passing and all this type of stuff. And it's working well over there in Spain, and that's fair play to him. Like, if he wants to play over there, we can get maybe 12-15 million pounds and make a little bit of a profit on him. Now let's get into some of the injury news, and it's really interesting and it's really good to see that a lot of the players who we're going to be talking about will be coming back after the international break and for the Millwall game. So that's really nice to see. So Sam Byron, he should be back before the Millwall game. Junior Firpo should be just after the Millwall game. Dan James, he obviously suffered a couple of injuries last week, but he should be back after the international break with a few assessments. Cooper, we all know that obviously he rolled his ankle, and there's going to be some sort of further assessments on that, so we don't really know how long he's going to be out for. Patrick Bamford suffered a hamstring injury and should be back after the international break around about the end of the last week of September, which would be really good. And as well, Stuart Dallas, he's been out for a couple of years now, hasn't he? He broke his femur, and then Farke came out and said that he's suffering a long-term process, a long-term rehab, and he is still far away from training. And that's a little bit upsetting for me, because he's been out for about 2 years now. So with him being around about, what, 32, 33 now, it's looking more and more likely that this injury will be causing him to retire, because at the end of the day, if he's maybe like a year or two away from recovering, that's 4 years away from playing football. And last bit of news before we end the video, the 49ers are now ready to cash in on Helder Costa, which to me, I think it makes sense. Of course, it worked out okay for him in the Championship. In the Premier League, yes, he scored a few goals, but it didn't really overly impress me. The 49ers are ready to, in a sense, cash in on Helder Costa to Saudi Arabia, and their transfer window ends on the 7th of September. So they've got, in a sense, a choice to make whether they want to keep him, whether they want to get a couple of £1 million for him, because I mean, I think Leeds United paid between 13 and 15 million pounds for the player. So even if it's just a couple of £1 million, it helps the 49ers just recoup a little bit of the money, and as well get the wages off the books. So, but yeah, that's everything up to date now. All the news that is updated on Leeds United. Of course, we'll try to bring out more content in the future as well. I'm not going to overload, allow and exhaust the channel out, because obviously we're in the international as well. We have been uploading a lot of short videos, so, and you guys have been really smashing that and liking that, so I really appreciate it. But like I said, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel too, because we're only about 70 subscribers away now from being able to start the giveaway for the Leeds United shirt. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will be doing a collection video of the Leeds United shirts that I do have. Of course, there's a couple coming in the post I've only been collecting for maybe a couple of months now, but I've started to rack up a decent amount. So I wanted to just bring out my first ever collection, and then maybe in a year's time we can review it and we can in a sense go over even more shirts to my collection. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like the video. If you want to see more of my face, all you got to do is subscribe to the channel too, and I will see you in the next one. Cheerio. Peace.